Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. First, we'll have roll call.
Ms. Douglas is excused. Mr. Hamilton?
Here.
Ms. Hedlund?
Present.
Mr. Jacobson is excused. Ms. Makowski? Mr. Morrison?
Here.
Ms. Salmon?
Here.
Ms. Waller?
Okay. We do have a few changes to the agenda. Kathleen Winters will not be presenting, doing a grant presentation today. She's ill. She'll be doing it later. We are also going to move Rachel Storm from being E to being B in the schedule, so because she's not, she needs to get out of here early. And then we have some new business. I'm going to be talking about some proposed changes in the structure of the commission and in program planning procedures. So add that as new business. Okay, first of all, we have to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Did anybody have any questions, changes? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Okay. All right, we have improved those. No public input that I'm aware of, so we're going to go ahead with the grant presentations. First, we're going to have Amanda Ramey from C4A Chamber Music Workshop.
And this is Sam
Hi.
Maria with her.
Hello, we're really happy to be here today to present for you guys. My name's Amanda Ramey, and this is my colleague Samuel Araya, who I ran this workshop with. And as you know, we presented the Community Center for the Arts Chamber Music Workshop last June at the First Presbyterian Church of Urbana on Green Street in Urbana.
I just want to start. The reason that we did this project, we teach at Community Center for the Arts, which its #1 mission is to bring the community together through the arts. And so we wanted to use chamber music to get that out into our community. So we used this as an opportunity to bring together student musicians, professional musicians, and audience members to play and listen to chamber music in the Western art music tradition. We were able to introduce people who had to chamber music who had never experienced it before, including student musicians and audience members who had never heard it. We also brought together musicians who had never played together before, including student musicians who hadn't ever met, and also professional musicians who had never played together before. And then we were also able to connect student musicians with professional musicians. So we had 19 student musicians, 8 professional musicians, and over 230 audience members.
Our professional musicians, we had 5 faculty members who worked with the kids all day, every day during the workshop. Samuel Araya, my partner here, is a cellist and a teacher at C4A and has played a lot of chamber music, has a lot of experience. Danny Colbert is a local violinist and violist who was a recent U of I grad. Who plays in a lot of chamber groups and professional orchestras in the area. Aaron Kaplan is a cellist and conductor who recently graduated from the U of I and is now a public school, high school orchestra teacher in the Chicagoland area. I'm a violinist and also a teacher at C4A and have a lot of chamber music experience as well. And Matthew Shepard is a local he's a U of I current conducting student and has a lot of experience conducting groups. And so we were very lucky to have all 5 of us and them. We also brought in a harpsichord player to play with the ensemble to play with some Baroque pieces that we did. And his name was Christopher Holman. He's also a U of I alum. And then we were very fortunate to have 2 members of this Jupiter String Quartet who are the artists in residence at the U of I, Nelson Lee and Daniel McDonough. They came in and did a master class for the kids, and they donated their time. They were very generous with that. It was really great to have them.
So the workshop lasted 5 days, or 6 days. During 5 of those days, this was the schedule of the student musicians. We had 9 a.m. Small orchestra rehearsals, 8 to 10 students in a room working with professional musicians and playing with professional musicians. We had, for 3 hours a day, in the morning and in the afternoon, they met in small chamber groups. That's 3 to 4 members in them. And they had times where they were being coached by a professional musician, being taught how to play well and how to rehearse with each other. And then they also had time to rehearse alone to get to know each other's playing and to learn learn the pieces together. A big hit was lunchtime because we were able to all be together, and then also we had games. There's a picture of kids playing apples to apples. We had a studio time where the students were able to perform for each other and give a feedback. And during one of the days on Wednesday, we had the master class with Jupiter String Quartet members. And then each day ended with a big orchestra rehearsal that was everyone all together playing music.
Throughout the week, we had several performances. On Monday, we had a faculty performance where all the faculty performed chamber music for the students, and also that we got some community members. On Thursday, the students went to Clark Lindsey Village to perform and got to play for residents and families. On Friday, we had a big final student performance at First Presbyterian, where the kids got to play all of their chamber music, but also their small and large orchestras music. And then on Saturday, we took them to Urbana's Market at the Square, where several of the groups got to play in Community Center for the Arts booth, and got to, like, over 100 people saw them play, and it was really, really cool. So.
This is how we received a $1,000 grant, and we used a majority of that money to pay for our professional musicians and teachers. We were lucky enough that Daniel McDonough and Nelson Lee, the Jupiter String Quartet members, donated their time for that. We were also, First Presbyterian Church was very generous in donating the space with the rental fee for the space. We still had to pay the maintenance fee, and part of our grant funds went to pay for that maintenance fee.
Our next workshop that we're happy to say we're putting on, partially from because we had these grant funds to make the workshop so great. We're doing it in July, and we've expanded it to 6 days, adding a Saturday rehearsal and moving the final performance to Saturday, so that we have even more time with the kids and so they can get even more learning and performing experience. And we're really excited about that. We're very, very thankful for the grant that we got from you guys. It really helped to give the students everything that they needed in terms of coaching time with our professional musicians. So thank you again.
Thank you. Hang on a second. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Okay. Oh, go ahead, Barbara.
I can't resist.
I was waiting for you.
I was being polite. This was your first venture, right? Or second venture?
This is the second year we did the workshop. We expanded from 2 days to 5 days this year. And this is the first time we've asked for a grant from you guys.
But it looks like it's growing, and you've expanded the program, so congratulations.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation will be Rachel Storm from Out of the Mouths of Babes.
Hello. I'm going to pull up my presentation real quick. Well, hello, I'm Rachel Storm. I am the director of Out of the Mouths of Babes, and I have someone here with me today.
Yes, my name is Dominique Arnold, and I am program director of Out of the Mouths of Babes, as well as being the program coordinator for the YWCA of the University of Illinois.
This is going to make sense because we have some partnership happening in multiple ways around our program. I want to talk to you a little bit about Out of the Mouths of Babes. This is our third year doing Out of the Mouths of Babes. It's a 12-week summer youth radio project. We invite kids between the ages of 5 and 11 years old to be chaperoned to different arts and cultural events around the Champaign-Urbana area. They do this mostly on Saturdays throughout the summer, and during those events, they're encountering lots of different types of arts. We try to bring both the diversity of cultural representation as well as the diversity of artistic mediums. And the students engage in some sort of activity during that time or learn something new. And then they're also trained on journalism and youth media production and radio. So they are actually conduct press interviews following an activity, and it has kind of a structure that I'll talk to you a little bit more about. But a couple of the things that are interesting about Out of the Mouths of Babes is it is one of the only youth radio projects in the Champaign-Urbana area. It airs on Saturdays on WRFU 104.5, Radio Free Urbana. And in its third year, we've been able to kind of work a little bit more with expanding it in different ways. The picture that you just saw, actually, was a picture of them doing step dancing at the Bruce C. Nesbitt African American Cultural Center. As a youth program, we really want to see and sort of train youth to be getting more in contact with media and also producing their own media and kind of reflecting on their own community. And we really want them to find voice. So we start off with a parent orientation each summer that also serves as a youth orientation. They grow to be able to kind of refer to themselves as youth correspondents for Out of the Mouths of Babes. And they're also trained on asking for interviews, clarifying questions, learning to kind of develop a good question that would come up, that would produce a lot for radio. They also get to know how to be quiet for radio and all these sorts of other things that are really great to kind of build their communication skills. We really want to increase youth access to the arts, foster cultural learning, and engage youth in local media production. Being based out of the Independent Media Center in Urbana, that's really kind of a home for us, and we usually conduct our parent orientations and youth orientations in that building. And we've been able to collaborate with a lot of different arts-based organizations that are also housed within the Independent Media Center, where I also serve on the board of directors. This here, for example, is in the School for Designing a Society's formerly the School for Designing a Society's room in the IMC, and the students were learning about puppetry from Mark Enslin, and so they got to kind of learn about how does one construct not only puppets but storytelling, and it finished the episode with them telling different stories based on the puppets that they made, and then interviewing Mark about his history as a puppeteer in the area. So we had 9 full episodes this summer, 12 different events, 15 youth enrolled, 7 different cultural practices and art forms explored, and approximately 75% of our students were low income. We also repeat 0 venues in 3 years, which is really exciting in a small town to kind of constantly come up with new places for them to visit, artists for them to meet, kind of artistic mediums, cultures to explore. These sorts of things is really fun. And each year we spend a lot of time, our staff, trying to kind of make connections and new partnerships with new organizations. What we want to do too is we always meet ahead of time with the organization leader and come up with how they would like, what story they want to share also with the community about their work, because we know they're going on the radio to talk about their organization as well. And so we really do a lot to make sure that they're represented in the way they want to be, that the questions are also ones that they're really excited about, and that they have some ownership over what's happening as well. This is an example of some of the note-taking that they do. So after every activity, the kids are kind of facilitated to have a quiet time where they're asked to reflect and draw out questions, and we have different staff members that come around and help them with that. And after that, they actually conduct a press conference. So we kind of get everybody seated in a press conference style thing, and then they ask, for an interview. They say their name, that they're from Out of the Mouths of Babes. They invite them to answer questions, and it really is run as if they were journalists conducting a press conference. Some of the things that they visited this year was the Broadway musical Mary Poppins with the Champaign-Urbana Theater Company, the Dragon Boat Festival, which was actually put on particularly for them at the Asian American Cultural Center. There was also a Dia de los Muertos celebration at La Casa Cultural Latina, community gardening with Learman Neighborhood Action Committee, Electronic Waste Orchestra, which was them creating electronic music from discarded computer parts and rotary dial phones and other things, and this was at Makerspace Urbana. They also did vegan cupcake baking at the Red Herring Vegetarian Restaurant and step dancing at the Bruce C. Nesbitt African American Cultural Center. This is an example of them at the inside Makerspace in front of an instrument that was designed by Colton Jackson, and him explaining to them kind of how they could use it and make music with it. And this was at the Red Herring Restaurant.
All right, so having a strong media presence is also an incredibly important part of our job and what we're trying to do. So we have a website that we maintain and is updated. We also are very active on Facebook and Twitter. Of course, since we're a radio youth project, we're featured on WRFU every Saturday at 12 p.m. during the time of our program, so during the summer.
And an aside is actually it does stream outside of the summer, so we do stream
yes.
Summer of Heat programs throughout the year as well.
Mm-hmm. And we've also been featured at the Independent Media Center's open house. And our lovely director, Rachel, also presented at Pachakacha this past year. And also, I'm also here to represent the Women in Leadership program because as the YWCA program coordinator, we partnered with Out of the Mouths of Babes in order to basically take a group of interns and pair them with this organization, and they would work personally with Rachel and with the students in order to build up this organization and also have it be mutually beneficial for both Out of the Mouths of Babes and for the students from the U of I. So that was an incredibly wonderful piece that it turned out very well this past spring. So it was about a group of 5 freshmen from the University of Illinois, and so they had a chance to not only work with Rachel, but to work with many of the students in this program, and they built an entire day where it was Media Day, and it happened at the Krannert Art Museum. So the students had a really wonderful time. They learned about storytelling and also about artwork in that day, and the women they had a really great experience and told me a lot about it. And I was there helping to guide the event. So that went really well. And then also we presented at the Allied Media Conference in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. And we've also in the past been able to kind of bring Out of the Mouths of Babes youth media as a model for others who might want to create similar programs in their hometowns. That was the case at AMC Detroit, and we also, when the Grassroots Radio Conference was here in Champaign-Urbana, which is a very amazing thing that happened here, considering most of all of the Grassroots Radio Conferences have been held in gigantic cities. Champaign-Urbana is one of the only that kind of holds steady for indie media. And we were able to present there as well on building youth media projects. And so that's been something that we've been able to do over the past few years. This is us at the Asian American Cultural Center learning about the history of sort of dragon boat racing. The youth also created their own dragon boats, learned about the stories and histories, and then they also were able to race them in a pool with the crowned winner. So these are some of the future directions for Out of the Mouths of Babes. One thing that we do is that while this is confined to the summer, that doesn't mean that we don't do things throughout the year. So throughout the year, we traditionally have had indie media arts labs where the youth can come for like a day, and it's usually a longer Saturday. So their summer programs usually run between 2 and 3 hours every Saturday, and sometimes twice a week. But they're kind of fall and spring programs tend to be like one day. So to be like a Saturday from 10 to 4 or something like that, 12 to 3, these sorts of things. It usually comes with a lunch, and we do more intensive training around something in particular. So we're working on developing training for to get the youth trained on Audacity, which is an audio editing program. Our production editor, who is Ron Kester, is a really fantastic person who actually also works for Illinois Public Media, working with youth in the same capacity, and has developed some really interesting programs, such as taking animal sounds and then pictures of animals and having them line up the picture with the animal, and working with sound bites that way, so that they can kind of learn in a youth-focused way how to edit radio. So that's something that we've been working on. We're also finding it that after 3 years, a lot of people are aging out of Out of the Mouths of Babes. We have a lot of repeat folks who really like it, come back every summer, and a lot are aging out, and they're mostly girls, and they've mostly talked about how they want to have their own radio show. So we want to do an offshoot soon called Radio Girl that'll focus more on girls, and it will be less about them going to arts and cultural events because they want to have a news and political media show. So we'll see what that comes up with. At this point, we're doing focus groups with the girls who are interested, for them to be able to actually develop the show themselves. And so they're picking out like the logos, what it's called, like all that sort of stuff. And that's pretty exciting for us. We do have volunteer and internship opportunities for folks who are interested in getting involved, and we have currently one of the things that the Women in Leadership program is working with us to develop is a spring fundraiser that will actually bring us a certain amount of money that can go specifically for a scholarship for low-income youth. We just have different rates at this point, but it's hard for us to make up that funding even with the grants that we receive. So that's something that we hope will kind of bring more sustainability to the program. And then folks who are interested in media, there's always opportunities to get involved and to train the youth on different media and journalism techniques and methods. This is a picture of them at the Red Herring. This summer was really wonderful in terms of the diversity of different places that they were able to visit, and it continues to be that way every summer. So I'm also looking for new ideas of where I should take them next summer, because that's something that we start kind of developing around this time, because we start doing parent and family recruitment come March. And this was out at Learman Neighborhood Community Garden. And I think some of this, too, what we really want to do is develop counter-narratives, have the youth actually cover things in Champaign-Urbana that maybe aren't covered so often or people don't know as much about, and make sure those things get on the radio. So that brings us to the end. I just want to say thank you very, very much. You know, the support that we've been able to get through the Urbana Arts Grant Program has been really the driving force behind Out of the Mouths of Babes for the past few years, and we've just really appreciated it. I'm imagining that it's going to be difficult to get funding for another year, but I just want to say thank you for everything that you've been able to do for the program.
It sounds like you've done a great job in expanding the program and getting it disseminated around. Kevin, did you want to say something?
Yeah. Thank you both, and I was glad to hear you mention the Allied Media Conference piece of things, and because it just seems like you've gotten such good legs on this that it seems like a really portable model. And as we continue to argue for continued support of Urbana projects like this one, I think it would help this body to know of who else is picking up this model.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
as folks, as you find people trying it out at other places, if y'all can funnel that back to us, and then we can say, okay, not only did this money support, local folks doing good stuff for local folks, but it's building Urbana's kind of reputation more broadly through that kind of. So please keep us in the loop on as this goes out, as I'm sure it will continue to.
Of course.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Barbara, did you want to say something?
I was just curious, is there any one particular thing that they all say attracts them? I mean, what's your best recruitment tool? Is it the whole program, or is there something specific that they're looking for? Or?
Well, they definitely come to the orientation and want to see the calendar pretty fast, and then they will scan the calendar and decide what's the most exciting thing on the list of places that they're going to. And it's always it's hard to anticipate what that will be, and I think that's why we try to kind of put a little something for everyone. One of the things that we ask of the parents is that we offer usually between 10 and 12 events a summer. And that doesn't include orientations. And we do a survey each summer. And after the first summer, we did a survey. And one of the responses was like, we want more opportunities for the parents to get together. So we did we've made it a thing to also do an Out of the Mouths of Babes family picnic in the middle of the summer. So they have an orientation. There's like 3 weeks, a picnic, 3 more weeks, and then we have a summer celebration, which I didn't really talk about much here. But their summer celebration is a showcasing of all their work, and they get a graduation certificate. They get a tassel. They have their own kind of graduation ceremony, and it's a big party for them. And then the picnic we had it out at I think most recently we had it near Crystal Lake Park, but the previous year we had it near the Japan House. And both times it's just kind of time to bring people together. So, we want to kind of grow the program in different ways, and I think that we do have youth that are really up for the dancing and stuff like that, and then others who are like, I'll wait for when we do something a little bit more. So we try to kind of make it, kind of push them in different ways to be open to different kinds of arts.
Great. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
We
much.
do have an album for you, and a thank you card. So maybe I'll just give you a thank you again.
Thank you.
And the album has all 9 episodes from this summer.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next grant presentation will be Emily Knox from Makerspace.
Sit down and then do it. Hi, I'm Emily Knox. I'm from Makerspace Urbana, the same Makerspace Urbana that was mentioned in the previous presentation. I'm here to talk about the Heartland Maker Fest, which we had last year on October 18th at Lincoln Square Mall. This is the major event that Makerspace Urbana does every year. It was originally called the Mini Maker Fair, and we rechristened it as the Heartland Maker Fest. Make Magazine owns the trademark for Mini Maker Fair, and we decided to pull away from them this year. So this year it was held on, as I mentioned, October 18th, 2014. We had over 25 makers from around central Illinois. We actually are not quite sure how many people showed up. We counted 800 through I think that's the southerly door, but we did not have anybody on the other 3 doors. So we estimate that between 12 and 1,400 people came, and this is a 50% increase over last year. It was primarily the work of 4 of us who are Makerspace Urbana members, and it was just bigger and better than last year. I cannot describe how much of a difference it made for us to move to Lincoln Square Mall this year. This coming year, we hope to have the entire mall and have people counting at every door, so we know exactly how many people come. This is a list of some of the makers. The picture is actually people from the Community Fab Lab, Frankenbikes, Kudo. Some people were individuals, some people were organizations. We had a drone copter course, just a really wide range of different people making things. And what we require our makers to do is that you can't have people just come and look at whatever you're working on. You have to have an interactive activity for the people who are there. We also added speakers this year, and I believe we had 4 speakers, most of whom were from the University of Illinois, discussing various topics around making and creativity. So the Urbana Arts Grant, really what it does is help us keep the event free. So it primarily pays for space rental, table rental. We provide food for all of our makers, which is actually greatly appreciated by the makers. It means that they don't have to run out somewhere and find food, and also for web design and development. The total cost of the event, for such a large event, I'd like you to know that the event costs just under $4,000, so it actually is not that much for the wide array of activities that's available. These are our sponsors, of course, the Urbana Public Arts Program, the Urbana Business Association. We also receive support from Acorn Active Media, the Champaign-Urbana Fab Lab, Urbana Moms. We also get in-kind donations from Dixon Graphics. Weisskamp makes our shirts. We actually also have volunteer shirts. This is the shirt that was available for sale. And Makerspace Urbana is a working group of the Independent Media Center, so they are always one of our sponsors. See, just some pictures. This is actually the Makerspace Urbana table. So we usually do soldering, just teaching people how to solder. You can see the volunteer shirt there. It's pink. This is the quadcopter course. which people were very excited about. We also had someone who was selling quadcopters that you could put together and then immediately put it on the course. So this was in the hallway by the hotel in Lincoln Square Mall. This is Trashen, and there was actually an impromptu fashion show with this, and people got to make their own fashion. There were several 3D printers and root beer that was actually made by this group. This is Midwest Technology. I believe they're in Peoria. Polly was one of our speakers, and you can see her talking. We hope to make that a little bit larger this year, getting more people, doing more advertisement for the speakers to come in. That's basically all I have. There are many, many, many more pictures on Facebook if you'd like to see all of the different makers that were there. I can't really tell you how successful this program was this year. We were amazed by the number of people that we had coming in and out all day. I think this also has to do with the fact that we did it at the same time as the market. So we hope to have a bit more synergy there next year, have a table at the market, and then also to encourage people to come into the mall after they've gone through the market. But that made a big difference for us. We're looking at October 3rd or 10th to hold it again this year. To answer any of your questions.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I just wanted to underline, I went through there, it was buzzing. I couldn't believe how there was a great energy in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just, it seems like a really great move to pull away from the maker folks and go on your own, not have to pay their license. And
Yes.
And
yes.
just when you got so much identity on your own, it seems like that's been a real positive move for y'all.
It's been wonderful. So we got a designer to make our logo, and it's just been great to not have to pay, especially the licensing fee. And also they would have say over all of the advertising if we were still working with Make.
And do you see, as you imagine growing, more people finding their way to you, more makers finding their way to you to want to be part of this, or what's that
Yes.
feature like?
So our hope is that this becomes the main Central Illinois Maker Fest. So we had people from Peoria. We hope to pull in more people from Bloomington, perhaps going out to Danville. There were some requests to have it for 2 days. I don't know if that's actually possible, but bring people even from Chicago down. We're just hoping that if we've actually already started planning for this coming year, and we hope that if people get the date enough in time that they will be able to put this on their calendar and be able to be a part of this.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Emily.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, the last grant presentation will be Jamie McGowan from West African Dance and Drum Extravaganza.
You know what I'm seeing is a lot more participation in all the events so
Oh,
far.
yes, yes.
It's really encouraging to see.
Yes.
Makes you feel good.
All advances there, just so you know. Oh, I see we're cut off a little bit there, but the title of our presentation is Launching an African Drum and Dance Festival in Urbana, and I want to thank you all for having us and supporting our event. My name is Jamie McGowan, and this is my colleague.
My name is Mara Thacker, and I was co-directing the event that we're going to talk about. And then I also want to just draw your attention. We brought a very special guest, one of our artists and local celebrity, Jabril Kamara. So he's also here, and he can take questions at the end if you want to know from an artist's perspective.
So just starting our presentation, there we go. In terms of envisioning and planning this event, your grant really launched this project. We were really keen on having some sort of a conference or a camp for African dance and drum. We've had a number of artists here locally, Jabril being one of them and Bulakata being another one in recent years. And so what we wanted to do is build on that energy and have our own camp. Both Mara and I attended a camp out in California California a couple years ago that was highly successful, and we thought if we could bring that to Champaign-Urbana, we'd really draw in a regional crowd to Champaign and Urbana and highlight the talents that exist here. So your grant enabled us to launch that project. In addition to that, after finding out that we had been awarded the grant, we decided to form a committee and build an advisory board that would help us develop our project. So we did that, and our main mission within that board, the Urbana and Champaign West African Drum and Dance Collective, is to share and cultivate the West African drumming and dance cultures, share that tradition with the Urbana community, and to have weekly classes, have regular workshops, and have an annual festival. And so this project enabled that. And our other particular goal within our committee is, or rather within our community, is to be an inclusive environment, welcoming young and old, all fitness abilities, and certainly the diversity, representing the diversity of our community. And as you'll see, I think we were quite successful at all levels. After forming our board, we also decided we needed to have regular planning meetings. So Mara, Jabril, and I met every week from February to September planning this event and making sure we would have success. In terms of planning, we decided we needed to invite 7 world-class artists. We wanted really top-notch West African drummers and dancers to attract the crowd that we thought we could. And so we decided, with Jabril's input, on 7 artists based here in the States who could come and really galvanize interest in the workshop. We brought people in from as far away as Boston and Birmingham and Greenville, South Carolina, and Denver, and as close by as Chicago and Champaign-Urbana. And then we also decided we needed to work very promptly with local businesses to find an ideal venue.
If I can just jump in and add, though, while they're currently based in the U.S., we did specifically the artists that we brought were all originally from the countries in West Africa that they represented and had been performing with the very best troops and organizations touring internationally. So they were the real deal.
Right.
We also knew we needed to get additional financial support. The support we had from the city and this council was very, very helpful, but we needed to launch an online fundraising campaign, which we did, and we were able to raise almost $3,000 through a GoFundMe account. We also identified local business partners and organizations to also support our event. So from the U of I to downtown businesses, we approached them about adding or buying ad space in our program. We also negotiated discounted rates with local businesses just so that we could simply launch this event and make it doable. So we did that with both the local businesses and with the artists who were coming. We also then decided we needed a really strong advertising campaign, and I'll let Mara talk a little bit more about that.
So advertising, we hit on a multitude of levels, from the very personal, such as emails sent out to individuals who are stakeholders in neighboring communities, to papering the town with flyers. I hope you would have seen them all over town in the fall. We did posters, postcards were, I think, one of our more successful things. You can see the image here of the postcard. I personally took them to Carbondale, Illinois, and handed them out. They were handed out in Chicago, in St. Louis, and I believe some even made their way to Wisconsin. They were all over the place. The website we developed to give information about our organization, the CU West African Drum and Dance Collective, and that also had things like that allowed people to register, check the schedule, and we also did some innovative things. Well, of course, we used Facebook. We tried to keep that pretty active and update and get in touch with our friends and build our network. But we also did something innovative with videos. I'm going to show you the promotional video we developed here, but there's also some other videos that are available through our website where we got some of our artists who were coming when Jamie had the opportunity to see them in California to get other people excited by saying, hey, I'm coming to teach, won't you come join me? Those videos got a lot of hits and were really exciting. But this was a professional video that we got made, which we distributed pretty widely. And this will give you guys a good idea of what West African dance is like and what the event was all about. Is there a way to make sound? Oh,
Did you?
Can you guys hear some?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe here?
Yeah, there it is.
African dance for about 3 years now, 2 of them in Champaign, and I am one of the co-organizers of Midwest Mondang, which is going to be Champaign, Illinois' first ever and best ever West African Drumming and Dancing Festival. West African dancing is the highlight of my week. It is good exercise, it's good for your mind, it's good for your body, it's good for your soul. The music is really catchy. It's hard when you leave class, sometimes your feet are still tapping and you still want to dance, so it really just brings a lot of joy into my life.
I really feel like there's a communication, there's an energy that comes when we have the live drummers and dance, and it's a great workout, and when the music's going, I keep going. I think it keeps me younger.
Everyone has been very welcoming from the beginning, even when you're not a good dancer. They help you with the moves. We hang out outside of class, so these are friendships that I appreciate.
If my body was just left to its own devices and trying to express happiness, these are the movements that it would do.
All of the classes will be all levels classes, meaning that if you're somebody with no experience, as well as somebody who's very advanced, you will be welcome in the class. They're not just good drummers and dancers, they're really good teachers. It's going to be a whole lot of different activities, a packed weekend of fun, the chance to study with the best of the best master drummers and dancers from Guinea, from Mali, from Senegal.
The idea that we could have some other master dancers and drummers and learn from them and the diversity that they will offer is a great opportunity.
It's a lot to look forward to. And I hope as we break the numbers down, you'll see that this was actually our advertising and communication strategy was pretty effective. And then I guess the last piece we wanted to show you, there were the posters, and then you may see us modeling our T-shirts, which continue to be good advertising. And so now I will turn it back to Jamie.
Right. So in terms of the program itself, we, as I said, try to attract both children and adults of all ages. Children were allowed to attend the festival for free, as were senior citizens. We also had an event at the Champaign Public Library, the Urbana Free Library, that featured all of the artists, and we had over 90 people attending that event. In speaking to the librarians about the event, one of the librarians told me the musicians were very interactive performers for the audience, which included babies to senior citizens. It was a win-win for the library and the patrons. We had 9 different drum classes. This would be average drum class. This was all held here at the Urbana Landmark Hotel, I should add, and also at the Universalist Unitarian Church. We had 10 dance classes. We had vendors. We had 6 different vendors over the course of the weekend, selling everything from drums to artifacts to shakeres to cloth. And we had a concert in the end where a local Afropop band performed, and we also had a drumming festival in which it was sort of open to freestyle dancing called a Dundumba Party. So in terms of the details, the mini concert for kids at the Urbana Free Library, like I said, over 90 people attended, 19 drum and dance workshops with over 127 people attending. We had people come from Calgary, we had people from San Jose, we had people from Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois. It was a nice crowd. At the concert and the freestyle drum and dance party, we had over 75 people attend as well. That was held at the Lincoln Square Mall as well, so it was a nice venue for that. We had 6 vendors, 5 were women, 4 were African American. We had 11 Urbana businesses advertise with us. Our total budget was over $19,000, and $3,750 was what launched it all. So thank you for that. We also did an anonymous evaluation, asking people to give us their feedback. 100% said the teachers were outstanding. 80% said the organization of the event was outstanding, and 20% said it was good. 100% said they would return if they could. And 58% said expand it. Don't just do it from Friday to Sunday. Do it Thursday to Sunday. So there's some evidence to expand our programming. Some of the other comments that we had from those surveys were, thanks for bringing such an interesting group of performers to the community. Fantastic organization for this first festival. We could get a bigger group from Madison if the dates weren't conflicting with the Madison Festival. A wonderful event. I look forward to attending next year. I like the variety of teachers and styles. We had a lot of great constructive feedback. And so this is a closing photo. We want to, again, say thank you so much. It was really emotionally wonderful for all of us, and just really exciting to see the crowds come in, so thank you.
You did an amazing job for the first time event. It's
Thank you.
very well organized, promoted well.
Thank
It's
you.
great. Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much y'all did for your first round. It's really incredible. And I guess my question would be about, what are you thinking about in terms of longevity? Because we've seen other festivals that have been at it for a while that keep growing and get really taxed in terms of dipping to the same volunteers and the same funders over time. And are you talking to your advisory board about how to grow in a way that you can support?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think one of the things that we were concerned about initially is that, growing the organization might mean going to nonprofit status. And we filed with the state to have nonprofit status. We don't have the 501c3, which would enable us to apply for bigger grants and other grants from foundations and so on. And so I think that's something down the road. We also would love to partner with an organization that has that status, that we could be part and parcel of something bigger, so that we could find those kinds of funds. I think in terms of sustaining the project, the good thing is the community is such that we've sustained our organization for, while not formally organized, we've sustained it for many years already, and the university is constantly bringing in students with energy and interest in these areas, so that's a good thing. But we certainly see possibilities of growing and continuing down the road.
Yeah, I think the feedback we've gotten from our dedicated local community is to please do this again. So we think that there's energy and support there. I mean, I don't know that we have our fixed solution yet, but we've been talking about next year and 5 years from now since we started this. When we started this, it was already the first annual. So we were already hoping to do it again. And we know that that we're going to have to ask a lot from the same people, but we want to find ways. I mean, honestly, for the first year, we managed to break even, which is amazing, because
Yes.
before we started, we drafted a personal agreement. How much are you willing to personally go in debt to realize this dream, because it is so important for this community? And luckily, we didn't have to do that. So our hope is, if we can continue to be strategic about partnerships with the 501(c) status, and also, with maybe tweaking different kinds of discounts and playing with different things like that and bringing more people in, that we will be able to be, we'll just build up the momentum and that it will keep growing. But we do plan to we're being strategic about it to the extent that we can.
Great, thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Jabril, for coming.
Okay, next we're going to have the monthly progress report.
Thank you, Pat. So I'll start with the grants program. The deadline is this Friday, so applications have started rolling in, which is really great. And we did 3 grant workshops in December with, I think, pretty good attendance levels, especially at the IMC. There are a lot of people who heard about that one, and they also helped us market or promote that event. We had about, I think, 15 or more people attend that one. On top of that, we also did a lot of online and offline promotions, social media, email blasts, ads on the bus and on multiple newsletters. And the jury, so they will meet on February 14 and 21st, which are both Saturdays. This is the way it's usually done. And winners will be notified in around mid-March. So we're also going to plan an event, a small event in April, just to get the winners together, and we'll socialize and announce it officially. Next is the sculpture project. So everything is done except for our brochure, which will hopefully be out by March. And right now we're working with city planners to create a map and also an outside designer. We're regularly updating our social media accounts, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'm pleased to say that all these accounts keep growing. We see more followers every day. In the December e-newsletter, because it was the holiday season, we invited our followers to donate to the program, so we provided them with a link to our online donations page. We have not yet received responses, but this is something that we can explore more in the future as we strategize our fundraising. The current exhibition for Artists of the Corridor is ending the end of this month. It'll be done by February 1st, and on February 2nd, we'll have works by students at Wiley Elementary School. This is organized by Rusty, who have presented here for Arts in the Schools. We're also waiting for the Free Library to approve a loan agreement, so hopefully for the February exhibition, we'll also be able to use their space to exhibit the works. The December episode of Art Now was of Christian T. Martins, and in the January episode, Ginny interviewed Harry Breen, who's a painter and sculptor, and this is available online and has been promoted through our social media accounts. We're regularly in touch with Rusty Clevenger from Prairie Elementary School, who won a $3,000 grant from us in the December meeting. So their project called Generations of Traditions and Stories starts this spring semester. Rusty told me that the beginning was a bit slow since there were a few days of school canceled due to the weather, but now it's picking back up. We're currently planning an event at the Boneyard site, the Boneyard Creek Improvements Project site. And this will be on April 11th, 2015. We'll have performances, activities for kids, an exhibition, and food. Right now, we're creating guidelines for our calls, which will be for street artists to fill up a blank wall under the bridge there. And also, we'll do a call for artworks to be displayed on the banners. There are banners on lamp poles around the site, and I think that will make really good space for displaying works by local artists. And we're also organizing a naming contest for the public. We will pick 3 to 5 members of the community to serve as members of the jury, and then we'll open this to the public for a final vote.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
The naming of what? The naming of
The
what?
park.
The
Naming
name of
of
the
the
whole
site.
park. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
Right.
Okay, we're going to move on to new business now. As I mentioned, Brandon and I have been talking about some suggested changes in the structure of the commission and in program planning procedures. We really like to restructure how the commission works so commission members can be more actively involved. And so our first suggestion on how we might do this is as follows. The tasks that are now performed by the subcommittees would become assignments instead. For instance, the annual review of grant procedures would be an assignment. Now, any member could volunteer to work on that task. However, if we do have more than 2 people on the assignment, all input would need to go through the coordinator, which would be Pauline, in order to stay within the Open Meeting Act. Each member would be expected to work on at least one assignment during the year. Assignments would begin and end according to a yearly calendar. For instance, obviously with the grant procedures, there's a certain time in the year, once the grants have gone through and been processed, that we get feedback, so that would be the point at which the review would happen. So anyway, all assignments would begin and end, and we would have a calendar for that. Most assignments would have an ending report that would be made to all commission members, so everyone would know what had gone on with that assignment. And then all decisions would be made by the commission as a whole. So there would not be, the people doing the assignments would not make that final decision. It would be a decision made by the group as a whole. Now, to align planning with this, our next commission meeting is going to be dedicated to determining our goals for next year and the priority for each goal. The meeting is going to be held in the conference room on 2nd floor, although we will have to have a few grant presentations before that, just because we have to get through them all. And that's going to be led by a third-party facilitator. So, or at least we're hoping to. We've talked about it. We have not located the person yet. So I'll just open the floor for comments. We're going to further discuss this at the next meeting. I think the restructuring is something that we all need to think about to determine how we want to do it, and so it'll work best. And it'll have to evolve over several months, obviously. So, comments, questions?
One small detail and
Yes.
a bigger strategy question. Small
Yeah.
detail. So when we go to a conference room, that's still open. Will still be.
It will still be an open meeting.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
someone wants to come to it,
Yeah,
they certainly can.
yeah.
Yeah.
And are there other larger strategic reasons for our moving in this direction beyond just trying to get ourselves more aware of what's happening?
Well, I think Brandon also had some concerns about whether or not what we've been doing exactly goes according to the ordinance. And I don't know, what else would you like to say, Brandon?
There it goes. Not really concerns, so to say, but in the few meetings I have attended and listening to the interests and concerns of commission members, it seemed pretty clear that the subcommittee structure is rather awkward. And one of the main reasons for that is, as a public body, you can't have subcommittees of greater than 2 individuals. And so while that often works in small nonprofits, you have this expectation that decisions are really only being made in the limelight of a full commission meeting. And so when talking through this with Pat and with Pauline, it seemed that a lot of the key activities of the subcommittees don't really constitute the actual need for a standing committee, that there's something really important that happens at a certain time of year, or there's certain tasks, or there's an interest in being engaged in an ongoing programmatic implementation that really ends up being the responsibility of the coordinator ultimately. Utilizing that, the fact that the commission is providing that broad guidance to the coordinator and staff to carry out the structure of the programs, that commission members can plug back in on the other side of that without creating as many complications with the open meeting law, because you're not convening to make a decision. You'd be convening to be engaged in a process. The other thing we identified was that almost all of those key activities happen with other people. You know, we have staff, we have commission members. For example, the Boneyard commemoration event. We have Public Works employees. We have Urbana Business Association. 40 North is involved. You know, so there's a wide variety of people who make things happen, and is really up to staff to make sure that those meetings and those programmatic implementation efforts are happening. And it shouldn't really be the burden of the subcommittee leaders to try to bring those kinds of groups together, coordinate them, facilitate communication. That's really probably too much work for a commission member, and we value your time, and we want to make sure that your engagement allows you to have that, I guess, the broader, more policy level sort of considerations for the program as a whole. A couple other things were the idea of making sure that the commission has a plan of work for a calendar year, that it sets every year a calendar at which all the commission members are aware that, at a certain time of year the grant program itself would be reviewed, and you would also set the goals for that. I know, or Pat had mentioned that individual subcommittees had done this in the past. We're probably a little behind where we should be in that process this year, and trying to gather feedback from the whole group seems like an efficient way, but also a good opportunity for the commission to come together and make a decision about where you'd like to see things go. So as Pat mentioned, these are all just ideas right now that we've been trying to develop to meet the things we've been hearing from commission members, but ultimately it's going to be the decision of the commission as a body as to what you want that structure to look like.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I think so too, absolutely.
Good. Glad to hear it.
I think it'll help us know more what all is happening. Because I think
Yeah,
this
that's
function
one of
of the
the
subcommittees
problems.
is just kind of, sometimes I feel like I don't have a sense of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
help,
And I've been aware of that too, and I think also, because we have been restricted to having two people on a subcommittee, I mean, if we really do want, something comes up where a number of people would like to be involved, this will allow that to happen. So,
And then
okay.
we'll know what other committees are doing too. I think
Right,
that's what's
right,
been the past.
yeah.
It's been so isolated.
Yeah,
So
it
this
really
will be much
has.
better.
Yeah,
It's
so I
great.
think it'll be
Thank
good
you
in
for
that
all the
way.
work you put into that, Pat.
Well, you can thank
And
Brandon for a lot of
and
that too.
I think it's important. We're growing and we're evolving and we're learning every time you do something. You learn how to do it better and more efficiently and what works and what doesn't work. So I think it's always good to kind of look back and see what we did right and what we need to do. And,
Yeah, well, this seemed like a good time to do it, so. Okay, I guess one question, though, would be if everyone can make it to a longer meeting next time, because obviously it will take some time to go through, determine what our goals are going to be for the coming year. I believe that's at the 10th? Yes.
Yes.
Because I would just envision it starting at 4:30 and then just going on however long we needed to go on.
She'll send an email reminding us and get it on my home calendar.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
go ahead,
all right.
yeah.
Okay, yep.
Okay, everybody's terrific. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. We'll look into bringing getting some snacks or something too. So
Yeah, we'll definitely have some food there.
yeah, to keep everybody going.
So we don't starve in the process.
Can I ask what the status is about a coordinator search, or where we might be on that?
We've been working on this in community development, and we will have an announcement to the Public Art Commission soon on what we're moving forward with.
Okay,
So
thank you.
we'll make sure we email something out, hopefully this week or next.
Thanks, Brendan.
How has the response been towards the grant application so far? Are you getting a lot of this? Traditionally, a lot of things always come in at the last minute.
Yes.
But have you
Yes.
gotten a pretty good advance level of applications, or how's it going?
I think so. I actually didn't expect to receive any applications until later this week, but I actually already received 5. And I'm getting a lot of phone calls and email inquiries about the program. So we're expecting good numbers.
Very good. Okay. In that case, would someone like to move for adjournment?
So moved.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Thank you.